Hey Mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all having a great day. So it's a bit of a filler video this, a bit of an in-between one because it's not all action, sometimes it's boring bits, but we're going to start out with a bit of unboxing stuff I've got to carry on with the project. First one is I've got the cylinder head back from Paul Jeffries. So Paul Jeffries very kindly took this away for me, took it to MJA Motorsport. And it's been reworked. It's not been modified, it's been reworked. I'll go through that in a bit more detail in a moment because we're going to get this head painted up. It already looks brilliant, but I'll go through what they've done on the headwork and why we've done it like that. A bit of an unboxing of other stuff. So as you might have discovered, if you've been ordering mini bits from anywhere lately, mini bits, bits for PCs, other bits and bobs, it's really hard to get hold of stuff at the moment. I'm not sure the exact reasons why. I don't know whether it's a bit of Brexit, because it's coming up to Christmas, because of COVID. I think it's a bit of all three, to be honest. But yeah, certainly mini bits. You go on Mini Spares or Mini Sport and they're sold out of loads of stuff. So I'm having to shop around, going to places like eBay to get stuff. So not my preferred choice, to be honest. I tend just to try and get everything from one place, which is usually Mini Spares. So first thing we've got is subframe rubbers. These are rubber, they're not poly bushes or anything like that. You can get the solid subframe mounts, which make the handling a little bit better, and you can get the poly bushes, which make the handling a little bit better. It's a 998 automatic. Not really worried about precision handling. I just want it to be as it was when it came out of the factory. So it's going back on rubber bushes. Boo, I know some people say. I've got one of them, which is top arm shock mount bolt, because they typically corrode on. So this is actually an aluminium bush, and it looks like a nickel plated bolt. I have got some subframe teardrop mounts. This is all stuff off eBay. These are actually look better than the ones I got from Mini Sport last year, so I don't know who manufactures these, but they don't look bad quality, to be honest. The ones I got from Mini Spares last year, this pin was all bent and misshaped in it. They actually look better, and they come from eBay. So what else we got? We've also got, forgive me because I'm useless at remembering people's names. So you might have heard me mention when I sprayed the engine bay and bulkhead area on TARDIS, I sprayed it with paints from Paints For You. Fantastic paints, always been brilliant, and their technical advice is really good as well. Never had a problem with it. It's been fantastic paint, but it come in 3 stages. So it was primer, base coat, lacquer. And then I noticed when I started polishing the car and that and machine polishing it, that the car is just base coat with gloss in it. So I thought that's fine for the engine bay area. In fact, it's quite nice to have an added layer of protection there with the lacquer. But I just thought when I spray the front end, because I need to try and blend it into the rest of the bodywork, that's not really going to work with lacquer. So, or it might do, I'm not quite sure how to do it. Anyway, I phoned Paints For You, and someone put in a comment a few weeks ago. They said, why don't you just get the paint in a single stage, so base coat with gloss in it? I didn't think they'd done it, but I phoned up Paints For You and they're like, yeah, no problem, just let us know, we can do that for you. So I've not wasted money because I've got the 3-stage paint left, the primer, base and lacquer, and I'll use that for probably doing the boot or maybe underneath the wheel arches, because as I say, I think the lacquer does add an added layer of protection. So the paint I've already got I'll use for that, but for painting the actual bodywork on the car now, I've got 4 cans of base coat with the gloss built into it. So basically you just primer it and then just gloss it. And then that also makes it very easy for if you've got to do any refinishing afterwards, like just flatten it back or anything like that, because you're just flattened back 1 layer of paint. So I should have phoned them and asked to begin with. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Next up, let me talk about these. So, Lidl. Do you like Lidl? I don't. I'm not a fan of Lidl. The food's always not quite what you used to. I always think if you go on holiday and forget to get someone a present, just go into Lidl and buy a box of chocolates, because it looks just like chocolates you bought on holiday. But what I do like about Lidl, when the missus drags me around there and it's really boring, the middle of Lidl, what an amazing place. They do everything. You can buy a petrol generator, chainsaw, drill, cable ties, whatever you can think of, it's in the middle of Lidl. It's always interesting to go and look. Half the time, the stuff is rubbish. And I bought some stuff from Lidl before, which has actually been not too bad. So last year, Parkside, I think is their home brand. I bought one of these little battery-powered cut-off tools. It's not particularly powerful, that, but it is very, very handy when you just want to get in tight spaces and you just want to do a little bit. I've got an air-powered one of these, but what happens is I want to use it, I have to power up the compressor. It's just a faff. That's really good. But they have these little boxes of consumables and that in the middle of Lidl. £2.99 a box. So, what we got? 127 pieces of heat shrink tubing, 320 rivets, and 125 pieces of just random sized O-rings. Don't know when I'm going to need them, but I'm sure I will at some stage. Next up, we have a box from Somerford Minis. I don't buy from Somerford Minis normally, and I know why now. I spent 28 quid and it was £9.90 or something like that for delivery. Seems a bit excessive to me. Did get here quickly though, so. But the other mini space places seem to deliver for cheaper than that. Oh God, it's got all this horrible stuff in there. I'll see if I can fish it out. The first thing, I know what this is going to be. So I've bought a can of, I think someone in the description called it putrid yellow, which is quite funny. So the colour of the cylinder block and head, it's called C71 Speedline yellow on here. But yeah, I think putrid yellow is much more descriptive of what it looks like. Now, I must say thanks. So Paul Jeffries actually gave me half a can of this, which was left over, which I think has done the rounds with the Mini community, and various people who used it for doing their engines. Paul gave me what was left of probably good half a pot, but I think it's probably time expired. It had the consistency of lumpy custard. So I didn't want to risk using it on the engine. For what it costs for a new can, I might as well just use a new can. I don't know how old Paul's can was, but I was worried about painting it on there and it not drying or something like that. So we got a new can of putrid yellow, 500ml. That will easily do their engine and cylinder head. And then we'll have to find them out as we go. Oh, this is all just gaskets. So this is new to me. I've never stripped an automatic gearbox before. And I'm not going to strip an automatic gearbox, but I am going to attempt to do some gaskets while I'm there. So I've got the front cover gasket. Fingers crossed that's relatively simple to do. Need to do a bit of research on this stuff. I've got the end cover gasket. I've got the oil filter gasket, speedo drive gasket, and I can't remember what that one was for. Possibly speedo drive again. There's a rubber oil ring in there, and Mini community is great, isn't it? I've got them here. So, and then Alex Toon gave me 3 gear shift oil seals, so I'm going to put that in with all of them ones. So I think Alex could only buy a pack of 10 or something like that, so he bought a whole pack of 10. I think that's it in this box. That's the only worry about this stuff is I'll throw it away and I'll have ordered something else and it'll be in the bottom of there. It doesn't look like it, just looks like a right mess, that does. I'm going to stick that straight in the bin. Aside from that, I hit order from Mini Spares Mini Spares this morning, another 380 quid on bits. Getting a little bit worried about the budget actually, how much I've spent. I've still got to go and pick up the wheels, subframe and that sort of thing, but I do need to keep control of what I'm spending on it. Yeah, that's it for an unboxing. I do apologise if it was a bit boring for an unboxing, but yeah, like I say, some of these videos sometimes they're just fillers. It's not always exciting. So let's get this head degreased and get that painted. I think we'll do the head painting on time lapse, and then I'll discuss or I'll talk about what's been done to the head. Right, I was going to put the plugs in, but they're just going to get in too much way, so I think I'll leave them out and just be careful. Just before I start, I know I don't want to, I've said about this before, but I hadn't really noticed it before. Not sure well you can see, but you look inside that thermostat housing, and again, like the block was, you can actually see the paint still inside there. Now, I hadn't noticed that originally, but again, it's in fantastic condition inside there, which I'm really pleased about. I don't know what cleaning of the head was done by MJA, but it certainly seems to have been cleaned. I didn't really pay much attention to it before it went away. But let's go. Got my little brush. I'm sure people will probably say you could do a bit more prep here, but yeah, I could get all this old paint off and spend a couple of hours doing it, but I think it'll be all right as it is. We'll soon find out. Oh yes, that is proper putrid yellow. I've had 2 babies and I've seen stuff in nappies that's that colour. Now this stuff, it covers pretty well, but as it's going on at the moment, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking my OCD will probably think I need to do 2 coats on this, and I might do 2 coats. I'll see what it's like when it's in between layers, but there's also the bit of me that thinks the paint won't have been very thick on that originally, and if I put 2 layers on it, it'll probably be better than the original finish, which is not necessarily a bad thing. There's some extremes with restoring a car that you can just go for too much originality. I think you've got to be sensible about these things. There is always, as I would say, you know, sensible modifications you can do, sensible things during the restoration, like putting better stone chip and rust protection on, better paint, more paint, better components.
Chargement en cours.
Right, so there we go, all painted. I'm really pleased with that. That's had 2 coats on it. I might do a third, I'm not sure. I think it's a good finish as it is. If it was a show car, I'd definitely be putting a third coat on. As we're meant to be kind of trying to keep this original looking, maybe not. I might keep it as it is. Now the colour match, I'm not really sure about. So obviously the colour inside the head here, as you can see, it's a darker yellow. That would have been the original paint, but that's been in oil and sort of heat soaked or heat cycled lots and lots of times. So it's probably turned a bit darker anyway. I've actually got 2 dabs of paint there. The dab on the right is the paint Paul Jeffries gave me. I just tried that. Paint on the left is the one from Summerford. As you can see, they're very, very similar. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the finish. I'm not sure whether I'll give it another coat yet. If I do, I'll do it off camera. Yeah, so the head itself, it went to MJA Motorsport. Paul Jeffries took it there. It's been fully stripped down. I'm assuming they've probably chemically cleaned it. I'm not sure. I don't remember it being this clean when it went away, but I actually, look, if you remember me saying about the block, same with the head, you can still see the kind of original paint overspray inside there. So there's no rust in that head at all. It's one of the cleanest heads I've ever seen. If I grab a torch. Yeah, it's spot on. It's really, really good condition. So I'm really pleased with that. So the head would have been fully stripped by MJA Motorsport. I always you always get a bit more trust, not that I don't trust people, when you get the old bits back. So it's had all new valve guides. It wasn't really that the valve guides were excessively worn, but basically they'll take out the valves, and then what they do is, because they're inserting new valve seats, so they machine them out and then they interference fit a hardened valve seat in there, hardened steel valve seat, and that's pressed into the head. So when they do that machining work, it's got to be perfectly central. So they fit new valve guides just to be 100% sure it's perfectly central when they do the machining work. They are the original valves, but they've obviously been cleaned up. They would have recut the seats on them and ground them back in, and the head has been skimmed as well. So they've given it a light skim. I've just gone around it and radiused off the edges just with a hand file. The reason I do that is because it becomes razor sharp on the edges. And I think it's not good to have sharp edges because it's an area for stress to build up. Obviously, probably doesn't really matter on a head, but it makes it safer to handle. So yeah, aside from that, yeah, apart from giving the head a really good clean, so it's all been decoked and everything as well, and they fitted new valve guide oil seals obviously, and they've done it on all 8, as is kind of common practice. They only come with valve guide seals on 4 of them originally, but when you do any head work on them, it's always better to fit them on all 8. Prevents any smoking or anything like that. So yeah, let me stop waffling on, and that'll get put away now, ready to go back on the car when we build the engine back up. Thanks for watching this week.